Bitcoin is a trillion-dollar financial network running entirely without a central authority. There is no CEO, no corporate headquarters, and no physical vault. It was launched and then abandoned by an absolute ghost. Within the total supply of 21 million Bitcoins, there is a specific, untouched block of 1.1 million coins belonging to the creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. At today's market rates, that dormant wallet is worth $65 billion. For 17 years, the media has scrambled to put a face to that fortune. Reporters have chased down rumors, pointed fingers at young developers like Peter Todd, and entertained flimsy claims from people seeking the spotlight. Solving the internet's greatest mystery requires abandoning the search for a person's face. To find Satoshi, we have to treat the investigation as a massive, forensic data processing problem. This data-driven approach is the specialty of John Carreyrou. He is the investigative journalist who spent years methodically dismantling Theranos, the Silicon Valley fraud led by Elizabeth Holmes. He doesn't look for rumors, he looks for anomalies in the data. Carreyrou's investigation began when he noticed a specific interviewee in an HBO documentary. While denying he was Satoshi, the man's body language shifted, exhibiting defensive tics and avoidant eye contact that suggested a much deeper connection. That suspect is Adam Back, a 55-year-old British computer scientist and a legendary figure in the early days of cryptography. Carreyrou decided to ignore the public denials. Instead, he built a forensic database to see if Adam Back's history could survive a rigorous process of elimination. The first filter is geography. When Satoshi launched Bitcoin, he left a specific piece of metadata in the software's Genesis block, the very first entry in the digital ledger. Satoshi hard-coded a headline from that day's edition of the Times. Because the headline refers specifically to the London print edition's coverage of bank bailouts, it points to a creator based in the UK with a specific anti-establishment ideology. Then there is the technological blueprint. Bitcoin is actually a combination of two earlier concepts, a ledger system called B-Money and a spam prevention tool called Hashcash. Adam Back personally invented Hashcash in 1997. More importantly, archival emails show Back reached out to the creator of B-Money, Wei Dai, to explain exactly how these two systems could be integrated into a single digital currency. Back provided the structural link that would become Bitcoin's foundation a decade before it launched. When you look at the raw materials of the Bitcoin machine, Adam Back's intellectual fingerprints are embedded in the fundamental design. To test this further, Carreyrou compared Adam Back's public life against Satoshi Nakamoto's digital activity on a single timeline. For 10 years, Back was a prolific poster on cryptography forums. But in 2008, the exact year the Bitcoin white paper is released, Back goes completely silent. His public activity drops to zero, precisely as Satoshi appears and begins posting. In April 2011, Satoshi sends a final email and vanishes forever. Only weeks later, Adam Back instantly reappears on the forums, resuming his public activity and soon launching a multi-billion-dollar company focused on Bitcoin infrastructure. The two identities never overlap. They exist in a perfect inverse correlation, where one must disappear for the other to function. The most objective filter was stylometry, the study of linguistic fingerprints. A person's subconscious habits, like their grammar and spelling errors, are almost impossible to hide in a large dataset. Carreyrou built a funnel starting with 34,000 users from early cryptography mailing lists. After filtering for people who actually discussed digital money, he was left with 620 candidates. He then applied Satoshi's specific quirks, the mixing of British and American spelling, the use of the term web money, and the habit of double spacing after a period. These constraints eliminated almost everyone, leaving only 8 suspects. The final filter focused on a technical error. Satoshi consistently and incorrectly hyphenated the phrase proof of work. Out of 1.3 million archived posts spanning 15 years, there is only one name that matches every single linguistic quirk Satoshi used: Adam Back. Carreyrou traveled to a conference in San Salvador to present this mountain of data to Back in person. During a 2-hour meeting, Back remained defensive as Carreyrou walked through the linguistic and technical matches. The most telling moment came when Carreyrou quoted a famous Satoshi line, "I am better with code than words." Back instinctively responded in the first person, saying, "I have talked a lot." When asked for a final word, Back responded with a carefully parsed legal statement. "Clearly, I am not Satoshi. That's my position." He described a tactical stance rather than stating a simple truth. If Adam Back created a trillion-dollar asset, his refusal to take the credit seems irrational. But admitting he is Satoshi would create a massive legal crisis. Back's company is preparing to list on the stock market. Revealing a hidden $65 billion asset would trigger immediate investigations by the SEC and global tax authorities. Furthermore, unmasking himself would turn Back into the world's primary target for criminal hackers and state intelligence agencies. Maintaining this mystery is a strategic necessity. Silence protects the creator, the company, and the asset. Until the private keys to that original 1.1 million Bitcoin wallet are used to sign a message, every piece of evidence remains circumstantial. This ambiguity is essential to Bitcoin's design. The system was built to function as a leaderless protocol, removing the need for a central figure or a supreme architect. By choosing to walk away, Back removed the single point of failure that usually destroys decentralized projects: a human leader. His disappearance ensures the network remains a leaderless protocol.